What would you do if your ex tried to railroad your plans with your kids for their own agenda? In today's story, the protagonist's choice is a masterclass in how to handle it. Our story begins with the familiar tension of a co-parenting relationship strained by years of unresolved conflict. Our narrator, a mother of two, a spirited 16-year-old son, Alex, and a sweet 9-year-old daughter, Lily, found herself in a familiar standoff with her ex-husband, Mark. Both children, usually bright and communicative, were seething with an unfamiliar anger, and Lily's usually cheerful face was streaked with tears. The reason? A clash over their shared custody agreement. The divorce between our narrator and Mark had been messy, occurring shortly after Lily's birth. 8 years later, the wound still hadn't fully healed, with blame cast freely from both sides. Their communication was minimal, strictly limited to matters concerning Alex and Lily, a boundary our narrator was perfectly content with. However, one thing they had consistently agreed upon, a rule they lived by, was the sanctity of their appointed custody days. No planning activities on the other parent's time, and certainly no switching of days or weeks unless under extreme, unavoidable circumstances. Our narrator, for her part, had held fast to this agreement, never once asking for extra time or ceding any of her precious days, regardless of Mark's pleas. Then, a week ago, Mark broke the unspoken truce. He contacted our narrator, brimming with what he called good news. His parents were planning a week-long family reunion at Disneyland over the summer, and he wanted to take Alex and Lily. The catch? The entire reunion fell squarely within our narrator's designated week with the children. He asked her to either let the kids go with him or switch weeks. Her response was swift and unequivocal. No. It was her week, her time to spend with her children. She suggested he reschedule, but Mark claimed his parents were inflexible, this being the only week the entire family could gather. He even dared to tell her she needed to think of the kids. Tough luck, she retorted, before hanging up, the conversation ending abruptly and unsatisfactorily. This reveals Mark's greatest fatal flaw, his utter disregard for established boundaries and his willingness to manipulate situations to his advantage, completely unaware that this single act would lead to his own downfall in the eyes of his children. The following Sunday, when Mark dropped Alex and Lily off, the tension was palpable. Alex refused to speak to her, and Lily wouldn't even meet her gaze. When she pressed Mark for an explanation, he merely sneered, "Ask them," before making a hasty exit. Lily, when asked, burst into tears, sobbing that her mother was not letting Daddy take them to Disneyland. Alex, still stubbornly silent, eventually revealed that Mark had painted a picture of their mother as the villain, intentionally preventing their magical Disney trip. Our narrator, furious at this blatant manipulation, tried to explain her side to the children, emphasizing that it was her week with them, but her words fell on deaf ears. Lily continued to cry, and Alex, with the bluntness only a teenager can possess, accused her of trying to get back at your ex. "You are such a fucking asshole. You're denying your kids something that they clearly want to do and treating them like objects," ran one of the top comments from the online forum, perfectly encapsulating the raw emotion of the situation and the perceived selfishness of the mother. "You're stopping your kids from having a vacation at Disney because you're too petty to swap a week. I completely understand why your kids are pissed at you," another top comment echoed, highlighting the children's frustration. Yet, our narrator wasn't trying to get back at Mark. She believed it was inherently unfair for him and his parents to schedule such an event during her custody time. She demanded an apology from Mark, insisting he set the record straight with their children, but he flat out refused. His final text to her was a chilling summation of his stance: "Can't tell them the truth 'cause they already know it." She was incandescent with rage. How was she the bad guy for simply exercising her right to spend time with her own children? As one user succinctly put it, YTA, "Your ex gave you months of notice for this trip. Have you ever been to Disney? That's the kind of trip that takes a lot of planning, especially if your ex is trying to coordinate it with a large extended family. If this is the only weekend that his whole family can go, then do you really think this is the kind of thing that can be rescheduled so easily?" This comment, while seeming to side with Mark, actually illuminates the calculated nature of his request and the difficulty of the situation. Another comment, however, pointed out the obvious truth: "Well, he's not lying. He offered to switch a week, and you refused." You are punishing your kids because you want that week instead of other. And I see no sign about that particular week being specially important for you. Therefore, I have to agree with your son. My son told me I'm only doing this to get back at my ex. Or do you have any other reason that I failed to understand? The core lesson here is that while sticking to agreements is important, sometimes flexibility and prioritizing your children's happiness over a rigid schedule can strengthen your bond. What would you have done in this situation? Would you have held your ground? Or would you have bent the rules for the sake of a magical family vacation?